Alright, in this problem we're asked to solve this polynomial equation or quadratic equation, and our first step is going to move this 135 to the left side. Yeah, so for almost any method you would want to move this 135 to the left, unless you were going to be completing the square or something, which is not recommended. No, it's not recommended on a problem like this. That's going to be way too many steps. So we're just going to move that 135 to the left side, and we're going to get 4x squared plus 12x minus 135, and we're going to set it equal to 0. Now, our first step is going to always be to check if a greatest common factor exists. Now, a lot of the times when you do so many problems, there is no GCF that exists. But don't get into the habit of not checking. You always want to check. It's going to be the rule for the rest of your factoring careers. It's always going to be checked to see if there is a GCF, greatest common factor. Well, there is a GCF between 4 and 12. 135 is not divisible by 2, and it's not divisible by 4. So there is no GCF, so we can just skip that step. Now, this, on the left side of the equation, we can actually factor this. So you could use the quadratic formula if you wanted to, but a general rule is to, if you can factor it, you want to generally head in that direction. Now, this is a little bit of a tricky one to factor because especially there's no GCF, but there are a couple tricks you can use. You could factor by grouping if you wanted to. You could factor by grouping. Personally, I like to use the guess and check method. So if the middle term is even, I'm just going to write this step out for you because it's a good habit to get into, is to, personally, if you know how to factor by grouping, go ahead with that. I'm not going to show you that. I just think it's a little bit too difficult, difficult to teach. So if the middle term in your trinomial is even, you want to try pairs of even factors first. So try pairs of even factors first. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, if you, in your two sets of parentheses, remember the left side is going to factor as the product of two binomials. Try pairs of even factors first of either your leading coefficient or your constant term. So are there any even factors of 4x squared? Well, yeah, 4x squared can factor as 4x times x or 2x times 2x. Well, what are the even factors? Well, 2x times 2x. So we're going to try the pairs of 2x and 2x first. And actually, these are the factors that work. Now, for negative 135, the factors that work actually are 15 and negative 9. So if you need a review how to factor, you can always check out a few videos online, but really all you're doing is just looking for the factors of negative 1, or actually, no, I shouldn't say that. No, if your leading coefficient was 1, you can do that, but really you're just trying to see which pair of binomials spoils together to give you your original trinomial. Now, we're going to set this equal to 0. And now, if two terms are multiplied together to equal 0, that means either one term or the other term must equal 0. So for two binomials to multiply together to equal 0, either one binomial or the other binomial must equal 0. So we're just going to set each part of the problem equal to 0. So 2x plus 15 equals 0, or 2x minus 9 equals 0. Now we're just going to solve for x in both equations. In the first equation, we're just going to subtract 15 from both sides. This is your ordinary two-step equation. You should be able to do this easily. We're going to get 2x equals negative 15. Now just divide both sides by 2. You can leave them in fraction form. You don't need to convert to decimal at all. And we're going to get x equals negative 15 halves. Or on this left equation, we would add 9 to both sides. We would get 2x equals 9. Now just divide both sides by 2, and we get x equals 9 halves. So our solution is negative 15 halves or 9 halves. And in set notation, we can write this. Negative 15 halves or 9 halves. And we're asked to just list the positive solution. So although negative 15 halves is a solution, we can just shade that off. our positive solution is going to be 9 halves.